What can I say, ladies and gentlemen? I watched a content cop the other day. So shout out to iDubbbz. Rest in peace. Shout out to everybody joining us live here in the City Light Project YouTube channel. Welcome back to another predictions video here on the channel. Shout out to Otis. Every young YouTube creator who used YouTube Studio for music pumped this song before even iDubbbz released that series. All right, let's get down to business. Let's get to the serious topic here. UFC 292 Sterling versus O'Malley. Again, welcome everybody back to the City Light Project YouTube channel for yet another predictions video. You guys loved that we did this live last time, so we're gonna do them live moving forward. Until we get feedback until we get further feedback to release these predictions videos as videos, not live streams again. I'm going to go through every single pick on this card, starting with the early prelims all the way to the main event. And in between my rundown of these fighters, of this card, if you guys want to chime in on any of these picks, please do so as well. So keep the comments coming, like and subscribe. Join us for our UFC 292 watch party tomorrow. Also, join us later this evening for PFL as well as LFA right after that. Let's start with Marina Munhoz against Karine Silva. Both of these women I thought were, exceptionally tough in their last fight, Munhoz in particular. But I did remember both of these women right off the bat when this was announced. Now, a lot of fights were added to this card kind of last minute. It was kind of a shit show of a card to put together. Obviously, a lot of fights fell through, but hey, it is what it is, and we do have some solid fights starting with this one on the women's side, to be perfectly honest. And I looked at the betting odds and I went, I really thought Silva would have been a little bit more based on her performance last time. But then I went back and again, I remembered Munhoz put up a good fight. I watched the fight and yeah, she's tough as nails. Now, she lost her last one, but I'm referring to the one before, I should say, where she won via arm triangle choke. Let's take a look at Iron Lady. She is 31 years old. She is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She did put together a 3-fight win streak. Representing the Ukraine and fighting at an American top team. 1 KO, TKO, 6 submissions. So she's never been submitted, never been knocked out either. 4 decisions, and her 4 losses come via decision as well. 6-4 in the UFC. Lost to Jennifer Maia in her last fight. Not the best loss there. Look at all these canceled bouts in between. That's crazy. But again, beat Maria Agapova and absolute domination there. And she also beat Mayra Bueno Silva, which again, a very good showing from her there. Mayra Bueno Silva was undefeated going into that one, and she suffered her first loss against Munhoz. But going up against a very dangerous Silva here, 16-4 as a pro, but she's on an absolute run right now. Speaking of run, she ran through her last opponent, knee bar style. Oh my goodness. 8 KO TKO, so she's got knockout power. 8 submission. Yeah, she's a talented jiu-jitsu practitioner. She's finished every single one of her fights. None of her fights have gone to decision. 2-0 in the UFC, 1-0 off Contender Series. And again, Caitlin Souza absolutely dismantled her. First round knee bar finish. Darce choke, guillotine, armbar, heel hook. I mean, she's nasty on the ground. And look at this streak that she's put together. And not all of them are cans, guys. 8-1. I mean, 12-7, not the best, but hey, it's better than a friggin' 2-3. 22-3, 8-4, 13-3. Like, she is no slouch. 8 KO, TKO, 8 submission, man. She's something else. And look, did fight some lesser opponents at the start of her career, but she seems to put together win streaks before suffering a loss, and now she's on the biggest one of her career right now, and she looks so dominant in her last one. Nasty knee bar. She's super strong. Oh, I mean... She also looks, by the way... who's that character from the Boondock Saints? I forget the name off the top of my head, but Yeah, no, showed up at the weigh-ins and the ceremonial weigh-ins like that too. Just looks badass as hell. I do think she's just going to outmuscle Munhoz if they do take this to the ground. Standing, I think Munhoz maybe has the striking advantage. I mean, women's MMA flip a coin at the end of the day, especially when the odds are this close. However, both these women should put together a decent fight. Both of them actually are pretty talented. I think Silva is the safer bet. But again, Munhoz on her feet, I think, will outstrike Silva. But Silva definitely has that. She's just stronger. She has more power. And if this goes to the ground, it's just a matter of time before Silva puts you out. Again, Silva's never gone to decision, finished all her opponents, which is something you want to see, especially a card in women's MMA to start off a pay-per-view. What's up, Irish Animal? What's up, Zigo Edits? Good to see you. It's good to see you guys. All right, next fight on the card. Andrea Lee against Natalia Silva. Andrea KGB Lee. I mean, two Silvas back-to-back who are very talented. Two young Brazilian, I don't want to say prospects, as Natalia Silva is more of a prospect than Karine, just given their age. But two back-to-back Brazilians, two back-to-back women, two back-to-back Silvas on this card. Andrea Lee, 13-7 as a pro. 2-3 in her last 5 fights, plus 260. She is the big underdog, and I don't think she's a safe underdog. This one is less of a coin flip for me. This one, and the odds show it, as Natalia Silva is the minus 330 favorite. 3 KO, TKO, 5 submissions, 5 decisions for KGB. She's 5-5 in the UFC, 4-2 in Invicta, and 2-0 in the LFA. Lost to Macy Barber. That's not a bad win. Vivian Arroyo. That's not a bad loss, I should say, against Macy Barber. Vivian Arroyo, not that bad of a loss either, especially since both these went to decision. Cynthia Calvillo, decent win. Antonina Shevchenko, decent win as well. But before them was on a 3-fight losing streak. I mean, she lost to Roxanne Modafferi when Modafferi was on her way out. Lauren Murphy, who again, Lauren Murphy's a pretty good women's fighter, but split decision there. Joanna Wood split decision. So, I mean, I get that she hasn't had a lot of luck in the decision side of thing, but I don't know. There's just not a lot there. She's not the most exciting fighter. Getting up there as far as, probably closer to the end of her career than nearing a title shot, in my opinion. She's going up against a young killer in that of Natalia Silva. 15-5-1 in her pro MMA career. She's 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Only 26 years old, too. 5 KO TKO, 7 submission, 2 decisions. That is crazy. She loves. I mean, when you see these type of stats for a women's MMA fighter, this should get you pumped. This should get you pumped because you won't have to sit through a 3-round snooze fest. 3-0 in the UFC, 4-0 in Jungle Fight, and 3-0 in Fight Club MMA. Undefeated in 3 pretty good promotions. Now, Jungle Fight is a solid developmental league. Fight Club MMA, not so much. Still undefeated in the last 3 major promotions that she's fought in, especially the UFC, obviously. That is awesome to have on your resume at this point in your career. And look at this win streak she put together right now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9-fight win streak right now. She beat 9-4 gal, 6-0 and 7-1 in her last 3 fights. She beat Jasmine Jesu Vicious as well, who just got a good win over Miranda Maverick. A few cans here and there, don't get me wrong. 3-0 gal when she was 10-5. Basically can crushed until Jungle Fight, and then kind of proved herself there. At least in the last fight in Jungle Fight. UFC 7-1, 6-0, 9-4. Head kick, spinning back kick, arm bar. Like, she can strike. She's got good striking, and she's got good grappling and submissions as well. I mean, this should be an easy pick for everybody. This should be an easy pick. And Andrea Lee, I mean, like I said, she lost to Met opponents. Mind you, split decisions, unanimous decisions between 2019 and 2020. Decent comeback, but not good in her last fight. She's getting older. Silva's younger, more well-rounded, really well-rounded, actually, as her striking game is really good as well. Undefeated in her last 3 promotions that she fought in, mind you. only one really good fight in Jungle Fight, but the 3 fights in the UFC against good opponents. Yeah, I don't know. I like Silva. I don't think I'm on an island here at all. Minus 330. I think KGB isn't the best underdog to select as far as betting on women's MMA. I feel like, honestly, Munhoz is a better underdog if you want to test your luck there. Natalia Silva, that's my pick, locking it in. All right, moving up the card here. We have Gerald Meerschaert against Andre Petroski. GM3 is back, ladies and gentlemen. He looked damn good at weigh-ins and ceremonial weigh-ins as well. 35 wins, 16 losses out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's 35 years of age. 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Got knocked out pretty brutally in his last fight, which was, 4 or 5 months ago? A lot of fights, man. A lot of fights. For the grappling specialist. 6 KO, TKO, 27 submissions, ladies and gentlemen. 2 decisions. What I love about him is he finishes his fights. He finishes his fights, which is amazing. 6 KO, TKO, 27 submissions. That is amazing. 10-8 in the UFC. 7-2 in Freestyle Combat Challenge. 2-2 in Mat Down Throwdown. And 3-1 in Combat USA. Lost to Joe Pyfer back-to-back in grappling and in the UFC. He did beat Bruno Silva via guillotine in late 2022. So that's actually a really good win. Lost Christoph Jocko. I mean, Jocko's a talented grappler in his own right. Before then, put together a great 3-fight win streak. As you can see here, Stoltzfus and Muradov being the 2 key guys. Look, this guy's been in the promotion for a while. He's fought some of the best. He's lost to some of the best. He's beaten some of the best. I mean, how can you not love GM3 here? He's going up against a talented grappler in his own right, though, in Andre Petroski, 9-1 as a pro. A little bit more, like, he is the favorite, but not by too much. You're minus 225, plus 185 for Gerald Meerschaert. That's good value if you want to sprinkle a little some on that. Like, don't bet your house or anything, but a little some, especially on a sub, obviously, given that's his specialty. But I think the odds are correct here. I'm also picking Petroski to win. Now, I'm not super bullish on him. And that's why I say, like, this is a good bet at plus 185. That's not bad, especially if Gerald Meerschaert, if it climbs to that of like a plus 200 or something. I mean, like I said, it's good value. It's good value for a talented grappler, for a guy who's how many submissions? 27 submissions in his career. But Andre Petroski is incredibly strong and is continuing to work on his grappling. He's 32 years of age, a lot less miles on his body. And he's on a 4-fight win streak right now. A great, story, much like Jared Gordon, by Petroski, in a great interview on the MMA Hour earlier this week. 4 KO, TKO, 4 submissions, 1 decision. Again, only 9-1, but pretty well-rounded. 4-0 in the UFC, 0-1 in LFA. He lost his last grappling match to Rene Sosa, before then beat Oven St. Preux in grappling, as well as Eric Anders. Good win against Wellington Turman in his last fight in the UFC. Beat Nick Maximov. Not the 2 best wins there, but hey, wins nonetheless. Beat Phil Hawes in grappling. Beat Brian Nielsen in grappling. So it's awesome that, like, his striking is constantly getting better in the UFC and in pro MMA, but he's continuing to hone his craft in grappling, which is awesome to see. I beat Aaron Jeffrey in LFA. And his only other, like, loss which was an exhibition, was on the Ultimate Fighter to Brian Battle. And Brian Battle's looking pretty good too. I mean, that's Ortega-Volkanovski season starting to age a little bit better now that there's actually some talent. Not from necessarily all the winners. Is that the Ricky Tercio guy is just a volume striker who's never going to do much, let's be perfectly honest. Petroski was a contestant on there. Brian Battle won but moved down a weight class and has looked amazing. But again, it's good value, especially if it rises tomorrow to like plus 2, like anything 200 plus. You know what I mean? Plus 200 plus. Anything above plus 200, good value to drop a little some half unit. I don't know. Don't bet your house, just some small. But yeah, I'm going with Andre Petroski. I think he outlasts Drummer Shark cardio-wise, stamina-wise. And if they do keep this on the feet, I just think he's a better striker and hits harder. So that was my pick, Andre Petroski, locking it in. All right, moving up to the card, to the first fight closing out this season of The Ultimate Fighter, which is, it's annoying. I mean, I missed the old days when they did the tough finale on Friday and then had the and then had the UFC, the regular UFC card, Fight Night or pay-per-view on Saturday. But this just truly shows how little of a fluke that the UFC gave to this season of The Ultimate Fighter on the production side, the coaches challenge side, the theme side, and the finale. Like, these guys don't even get a real finale, right? Which hey, Katona and Cody Gibson don't really care, because everyone who's pretty much got to this point everyone who's got to this point has been in the UFC before. So yeah, stupid theme to the season. We got through it. We streamed 12 weeks of that shit, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to everyone who joined us throughout that ride. Back to Just Contender Series now on Tuesday. Smash the like button if you're tuning into this video, or if you're watching it after late Friday night or Saturday morning. Let's get to Cody Gibson and Brad Katona, the Renegade against Superman. Now, Brad Katona, he's like, his Eastern Canadian accent is starting to become just straight up Irish now that he's training out of SPG, but we still love him anyways in Canada. But let's start with Cody Gibson, 35 years of age, plus 130. So slight underdog. I think the odds are fair here for both of these guys. 4-1 in his last 5 fights. However, he did lose his last fight. Let's take a look at his resume. 1-3 in the UFC, 1-0 in LFA. Beat a 15-9 guy in the UNF in their third event via triangle choke. So, I mean, not the best, not the worst. Lost to Ray Borg. I mean, no shame in that, even though Ray Borg is a little long in the tooth now. Beat John Dodson ex-MMA. Now, that's going to age well, as John Dodson is now the BKFC champion and is about to go fight Horiguchi in Ryzen for that belt as well. Beat an 8-2 guy, 19-3. Like, some decent wins after his UFC departure. And I know it was a little while ago. It was back in 2015. But he's continued to fight decent opponents, dare I say some really good opponents on the regional scene. One of those being John Dodson, who, despite his age right now at 38, 39, John Dodson is still ripping it up in 2 different combat sports, but high-level ones nonetheless. Having said that, Brad Katona has been ripping it up as well in a good promotion. That promotion is Brave. He's 12-2. 12-2. He's only lost twice. Both those losses in the UFC. One of them to Marab on a 4-fight win streak as well. He's 31 years old, from Winnipeg, Manitoba, but now residing in Dublin, Ireland, training at SBG. 1 KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 8 decisions. So he's not Dana White's cup of tea, but especially against Valiev in this season of The Ultimate Fighter, he put on, in my opinion, the best fight of the season. Really, I think he put on the best fight of the season. Now, I know everyone's saying, "Oh, Austin Hubbard, Jason Knight." That wasn't a competitive fight. It was a just bleed, us loving it, shotgunning beers, getting excited watching it. Don't get me wrong. Ode to the Spike TV days, but it was a one-sided beatdown by Austin Hubbard. The Valiev-Katona fight, whether you think Valiev won or not, it was close, and they both put on a tremendous performance. Don't worry, Valiev will be back in the UFC. He never should have been cut anyways. He was 3-1 when they cut them. It made no sense. Katona wasn't the most exciting fighter when the UFC cut him, so I've a little bit more understanding of that. 2-2 in the UFC. 4-0 in Brave since leaving the UFC. Now, did he fight the best of the best in Brave? Not necessarily, but an 8-0 guy, 9-4, 11-2, 7-1. Split decision, unanimous decision. He did get guillotined there, but you get a split decision in Brave, and your skin is white as snow, and you don't have an Ov or an Ev or, a nice chin beard going on. I mean, that means that you actually put down a beatdown. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, let's just say, I'm saying without saying that it reminds me of Thailand. If it's a close fight, there's a Thai fighter. at Lupini and his opponent isn't Thai, it doesn't matter if it's a close fight or not. You know who's going to win, right? You know the Thai guys winning all day, every day. Brave, as, despite it being a premier promotion over there and a great developmental league or just a great regional promotion, it's got a little bit of that. Now, you didn't hear it from me. But anyway, some good wins in his own right. After being cut from the UFC, he lost to Hunter Azure, Hunter Azure was winning the first round of his fight on the Ultimate Fighter before getting caught in Hulk smash, KO'd. And then his other loss was to Merab Dvalishvili when he was 8-0 and Merab was 8-4. That loss has aged well. I mean, I think Brad Katona is going to win this one. Put it this way, if Brad Katona, and I'm not saying this just because he's Canadian, guys. If Brad Katona stands and bangs in the pocket, he's probably going to get knocked out or get beaten up by Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson is, look, he's well-rounded in his own right. I think Brad Katona is more well-rounded, a better gamer, good at, and I say that term in the sense of game planning. I think he is better footwork. I think he's lighter on the feet. I think he can pick apart Cody Gibson on the outside, and I think he's a better wrestler and grappler than him. And if Cody Gibson starts getting pieced up on the outside or, step back hook shots, I think Katona's going to be circling him the whole time. If Katona picks apart his legs, hits him with some shots at range, or again, just while he's bouncing around there. If Cody Gibson does threaten for the takedown or want to make this dirty up against the cage, I think Brad Katona is strong enough and well-rounded enough in that area to make that tough for Cody Gibson. I think other than just standing in the pocket and banging like Jason Knight did, Brad Katona beats Cody Gibson everywhere else. So going with Brad Katona, but again, Cody Gibson plus 130, it's not bad odds. If it goes up to like plus 180, close to 200, then again, just like the last fight we talked about there, Petrosky Mershart, maybe sprinkle a little something. But I'm going with Brad Katona, locking it in. Up the card, the second Ultimate Fighter finale fight, we have Kurt Holobaugh against Austin Hubbard. Both these guys, Austin Hubbard put on one stinker fight in Tough. Holobaugh looked really good. Holobaugh looked really good in all his fights on Tough. 19-7 for Kurt Holobaugh, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. However, he is on a win streak, 2-fight win streak here. 36 years of age. He is the slight underdog at plus 150. 19-7. So not the sexiest resume there. 7 KO TKO, 9 submission. So he is pretty well rounded. Only 3 decision. I like that. And again, he likes to stand and bang. He's a good striker. 0-4 in the UFC. 0-1 in Strikeforce. 1 no contest on Contender Series. Oof. It's a little depressing stat line there. Beat a 19-9 guy in XFC. He also beat a 19-5 guy in XFC. So, meh. In the UFC, lost to Thiago Moises, Shane Burgos, Ronnie Barcelos. That was a good fight. Oh, it was a good start of the round. I know Shane Burgos eventually got to the ground and got him in an arm bar, but he was just stalking down Shane Burgos and applying a lot of pressure to him right off the bat. Ronnie Barcelos, again, you went 2 rounds with him back in 2018. No shame there. Primarily, we fought in Titan FC for a while, which Titan FC is a great promotion. He did get some good wins against some solid guys in Titan FC. He's had a great career, man. He's had a great career. I don't. There's not really much to dog on him or be super critical. Look, he beat. I thought it was Pat Sabatini there. My mistake. But look at this win streak he put together. Start of his career, took on some better competition, got humbled, put together another good win streak. And again, in Titan's solid, man. Eventually makes it to the UFC and just can't get it done. Going up against Austin Hubbard, 15-6. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. On a 2-fight win streak himself. He is the favorite, minus 175. He's 31 years of age. Training out Elevation Fight Team, so has some great training partners there. Great gym. 4 KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 8 decisions. 3-4 in the UFC. 2-0 in LFA. He beat a 5-0 guy and a 12-9 guy in his last 2 fights. In caged aggression and XMMA. So not the best wins, not the worst. Lost to a 13-2 guy in the UFC before being cut. Before then, beat Dakota Bush, who was 8-2. That's not bad. Lost to 9-2 Joel Selecki. Yeah, I mean, if you look at his wins in the UFC, they weren't necessarily the best wins. But the guys he lost to, especially at the time, weren't slouches. Put together a good win streak in LFA and caged aggression, beating 11-0, 9-1. Well, this one wasn't that great, but hey, part of the win streak there. And before he even went pro, back in 2015, he had a decent amateur career, going 7-1 on the amateur career. Look, both of these guys are pros. They've been in the UFC. I think Austin Hubbard is just more well-rounded, less wear and tear, better gym, better training partners, and just overall the better fighter. And like I said, he's not going to fight. He's not going to fight Kurt Holobaugh, in the pocket there. I think it's going to be, I just think he's better. More well-rounded. Kurt Holobaugh hits hard, though. He hits hard, guys. So that's who I'm going with. I'm going with Austin Hubbard. They're both fine fighters. I think the odds are fair here. I just think, again, Hubbard's more well-rounded. Kind of like the same conversation with Brad Katona, man. I have in my notes here, like, both well-rounded. Yeah, he's a decision guy, but he's a good game planner. Gibson could KO him. It's kind of the same story here with Kurt Holobaugh. So going with Austin Hubbard, but look, if you want to get a little crazy, if you want to risk it for the biscuit, Kurt Holobaugh is not the worst pick, but I think there's better underdog value on this card. All right, moving on to the next fight. Turning the page here from The Ultimate Fighter. What's up, Charles? Good to see you. Ishtomi Magny is the lock of his card. No, I'm just rooting for him, though. I like this live format instead of the premiere. All right, cool, man. Well, that's I said. You guys give me feedback on how you want me to continue to do these. This is a lot easier for me because it just takes less time, obviously, than to record and edit. Obviously, there won't be fancy edits and clips in it. But I didn't go too ham anyways, so appreciate it, Benjamin. Shout out to Benjamin, Charles, and Gravedigger Jones, our 3 exclusive members joining us in the live chat here. I have no PFL locks. I'm not going to lie, sis. I didn't do much research on that one. We will be streaming it. I will be giving my live picks before every fight, but I'm not going to lie, but I didn't do any research on that. When I got off work, did some research on the UFC card a little bit more, and then hopped on here. So my apologies. I will start for the remainder of the playoffs. I'll give some PFL picks and maybe just add that to this same rundown and maybe do it a day ahead of time. But it's good to see you, sis. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I know it's not a busy predictions video here, but I'm hoping a lot of you who are rewatching this will be able to get something out of it later tonight or Saturday morning. But turning the page on tough, ladies and gentlemen, Gregory Rodrigues up against Denis Tiuliulin. I want Denis Tiuliulin to win for both JL's sake and my own. I followed this guy in M1 on his way up. Very fun striker, fun personality. And look, I may dog on his grappling a little too much, but it ain't good. It ain't UFC level anyways. So Gregory Rodrigues, let's quickly look at him before we jump back to Tiuliulin. RoboCop, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. 31 years old, even though he looks like he's pushing 45, 50. And then not to say that he's in bad shape or anything like that. He's in tremendous shape. But he looks so much older than 31. Come on. He looks like he could be Burns' dad. Yet I'm pretty sure Burns is older than him. Anyways. Minus 355 favorite. Wow. For a guy who's coming off a loss, for a guy going up against someone with extremely hard hands, and not to mention that Gregory Rodrigues, despite him being a good grappler and a good jiu-jitsu practitioner, just loves to brawl brawlers and, sometimes gets caught for that. What's up, Walter? It's good to see you, buddy. And yeah, the PFL card's not the greatest tonight, but we're going to be covering it anyways, guys. Then hopping over to LFA right after. 7 KO TKO for RoboCop, 4 submission, 2 decision, 4-2 in the UFC, 3-0 in LFA. Did not win on Contender Series, but funny enough, he has a win in ACB back in 2017. Lost to Bruno Ferreira in his last fight. Got knocked the hell out in the first round. I believe he was the favorite going into that one as well. So just keep that in mind. Beat Chitty, and what a crazy fight that was, folks, where his forehead got cut via knee. We thought he was down and out. Chitty ended up gassing. RoboCop gets the win. That was an unbelievable, just crazy back and forth affair. Good win against Julian Marquez. Lost to Petrosian. Petrosian actually took him down a couple of times in that fight. Split decision. I do think it was the right decision, though. I remember watching that fight. Beat Jung Park. Solid win on the way up. Beat Josh Fremd and LFA. Solid win as well, as he's also in the UFC. So, I mean, lost to Jordan Williams on Contender Series, but let's just forget about that. Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous if he wants to stand and bang in the pocket with Denis Tiuliulin, because like this guy's got stone hands. He's got unbelievable knockout power, but he's getting up there in age. 35 years old, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Not the sexiest record and resume at 11-7. And it's like, that's the thing. You're 35 years old. How much of your wrestling can you actually really work on at this stage in your career, right? JL keeps telling me he's convinced that, training one camp with Bilal, that his wrestling is fixed, but I don't know. 9 KO TKOs, 0 submissions, 1 decision. I mean, he's an absolute beauty, right? He's an absolute beauty. 1 win via disqualification as well. 1-2 in the UFC, 0-1 in ACB, but he ripped up M1, and I believe he was the champion there. Got a win in UAE Warriors as well, where he beat a guy who's 11-2. Beat Jamie Pickett, lost to Jung Park. Jung Park like really exposed his wrestling and just grappling overall. Here we go, his M1 days, man. I don't know, like only 3 fights in M1, but like they were such exciting fights, man. Even the split decision, like fun fighter to watch, just fun personality. Oh, I've been rooting for him since I was made aware of him before he even entered the UFC. Even against Jung Park, dude, and I'm a fan of Jung Park. Like I really like to follow this guy's career, and I just think he's just fun to watch. He's good, but not great everywhere. You know what I mean? That one was tough to watch, man. I don't think the odds are fair here. I think he's way too much of a favor, given that he likes to stand and bang against these brawlers. And yeah, sometimes it bodes well, but sometimes it doesn't. Denis Tiuliulin, it only takes 1 punch. So I think the odds are a little bit too high. They're safe, though. Definitely safe. But this could be, especially if it gets up to like plus 300 by tomorrow, this could be a good value bet. Again, something small, sprinkle something half unit, maybe even smaller. Don't bet your house, don't bet your car, but I feel like there's more value because Gregory Rodrigues doesn't have an iron chin by any means, and he does cut a lot of weight. Having said that, I am going with RoboCop as my official pick, but I'm rooting for Tiuliulin on this one. Is FL on tonight? I'm not sure. RoboCop fight is off, I thought. Oh, is it? I thought he weighed in today. Again, I watched half of the weigh-in show. Did he get canceled? He weighed in. Okay, well then you're wrong. He weighed in this morning, dude. GM3 has 33 finishes out of 35 wins. Crazy. Yeah, I think you're wrong there, sis. A good play for this matchup would be fight ending in KO TKO. And LFA locks I can bet. Well, couldn't even make the varsity wrestling team in high school. I'm talking about PFL, poo-poo FL. Yes. Well, there's someone in our Discord named, I think, FL exclamation mark. So my brain went through. My brain was became a pretzel there for a second. I was like, is that who he's talking about? But I don't think his username is the same. Yeah, he weighed in. So this is... So you're way too confident on being sure there. But anyways, yeah, I watched the weigh-in show. I was like, I would have known about that. I start doubting. You made me start doubting myself, sis. Come on now. Anyways, Gregory Rodrigues, he is fighting. He is my pick. Moving up the card. Oof. Featured prelim here. I say oof because, like, we all know how this is going to play out, right? We all know how this is going to play out. Brad Tavares against Chris Weidman, the All-American against Brad Tavares. It's crazy to think that Brad Tavares is 35 years old. I remember watching him on the Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz Ultimate Fighter season, and I think I was in the 12th grade. I was a senior in high school when that season was airing. Chris Weidman, what a story. We all know what happened over 2 years ago. That nasty leg break, his grueling recovery with so many setbacks. He did take a grappling match a few months ago overseas in the UK. He did lose that, but I mean, a good tune-up. If you can't get a tune-up fight, might as well get a tune-up in the grappling match to test out his knee, to test out his body. I cannot wait to see the ESPN documentary coming out on him, and that documented his recovery. 15-6 as a pro, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Again, hasn't fought in over 2 years, had a crazy injury to overcome. It's hard for fighters to ever be the same again after that injury, let alone the age factor, the miles, let alone the rehab, the infections he got during rehab. I see there's comments coming in, and I'll get to them in a sec, guys, but I'm going to get through this one breakdown first, then we'll get back to your comments before going to the next one on the main card. But he's going up against no easy task in Brad Tavares. Now, Brad Tavares, is he what he used to be? Is he Brad Tavares of 5 years ago? No. But he's still a very game opponent, and he's still very hard to put out. He's very hard to take down. He's just not as fleet of foot, not as strong, not as quick as he used to be. He's on a 2-fight losing streak right now. He is 2-3 in his last 5 fights, but he's the huge favorite, minus 260. We'll take a look at Brad Tavares first here. Training out of Extreme Couture, 14 wins in the UFC, 8 losses, 5 KO, TKO, 2 submissions, 12 decisions. And if you go the distance with Brad Tavares, win or lose, like, you're going to hell and back, right? Lost to Bruno Silva, that was nasty. Went the distance again, Dricus du Plessis, which that's not a bad loss, especially going the distance against a guy who just put out Robert Whittaker. Beat Akhmedov, Carlos Jr. I mean, okay wins there. I mean, this is not going to age well. That one will age well. Beat Jocko. Beat Elias Theodoro. Great win. Rest in peace, Elias Theodoro. Beat Nate Marquardt. I mean, he's got some good names, and he's just his takedown defense is next level. He's a gamer. He's super strong. Yeah, he's getting a little long in the tooth now, but hey, so is Chris Weidman. 15-6 as a pro, and again, almost 3 years off. 39. 6 KO, TKO, 4 submission. Never been submitted and never lost via decision. 4 submission wins, 5 decision wins. That's crazy, eh? His only losses have been by KO, TKO. 11-6 in the UFC, is the former middleweight champion, 4-0 in ROC. So he did lose in grappling at Polaris 23 before, then lost to Uriah Hall in that nasty injury. He did beat Akhmedov, which was a good win back in 2020 when he was trying to get back on track to maybe go for the title. Lost to Dominic Reyes, lost to Ronaldo Souza, beat Kelvin Gastelum, which was a good win at that time. Lost to Mousasi, no shame in that. Lost to Yoel Moreno, no shame in that. Lost to Luke Rockhold, or Luke Rockhold became champion, but defended his belt against Vitor Belfort and Lyoto Machida, dude. And Weidman is an absolute legend, one of the best middleweights the UFC has ever seen. Ring rust, long in the tooth, just having to go through hell and back with recovery, going up against, again, an older fighter who's a shadow of what he used to be, but a very, very good fighter in Brad Tavares, who's not gonna let the All-American take him down easily. And on the feet, I think Brad Tavares schools him. And if you go 3 rounds with Brad Tavares, again, win or lose, you're gonna look like Weidman in this picture. You're gonna be bruised and battered. I'm going with Tavares, but I'm rooting for Weidman, of course. I like both of these fighters, but obviously if Weidman wins, that's a great story for him. He's been out so long, it's a crazy rehab layoff. And the decision against DDP, I got to go back and watch that fight with Brad Tavares. Obviously, Brad Tavares has been more active. And yeah, I mean, I touched on everything I had in my notes here. Brad Tavares, that's my pick. Locking it in. Moving up to the main card here. I will take some of your comments here right now, folks. What is up? It's good to see you. I'm great. How are you? Jay Leon Love. It's good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. I'm great. We got a big night of streaming ahead. We're just doing our just a little live stream here. For this UFC 292 card. I'm giving my predictions. We're doing a rundown, a preview on all the matchups, getting your guys' opinions as we continue and as we go through them all. It's great to see you. We also are streaming PFL in 20 minutes. So I gotta pick this up. PFL in 20 minutes, folks, and then LFA right after. I thought Weidman was gonna win, but then I heard he's training in North Carolina, not with Serra-Longo now. I'm not confident in him. Sis, I think you are wrong, buddy. I think you are wrong. Why were you so bullish on that? Like, where was your source? Because, like, he literally weighed in live today. Anyways, let's move on to the main card here. We got 20 more minutes before PFL starts, 20 more minutes before we hop over to the PFL stream. And again, thank you guys so much for joining. Hey, if you beat me to the PFL stream, after we close this one out, let me know in the live chat over there any suggestions for poll questions. I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions for the poll questions. Not feeling really creative this last week with poll questions. A little bit of like poll question writer's block, and I don't want to always just pump out the generic ones. But anyways, let's move on to this main card here. The UFC 292 pay-per-view card here. Marlon Chito Vera against Pedro Munhoz. Marlon Chito Vera coming off a loss, and a very disappointing loss to that of a Corey Sandhagen. He is the favorite, though, minus 200. He's from Ecuador, 30 years of age. Fan favorite, seems just like an awesome dude. He's got swag for days. He goes through different hairdos, facial hairdos, transformations, left, right, and center with his style. And again, just a fan favorite and someone who I believe most people root for. However, much like O'Malley, I think that overshadows how good of a fighter he actually is. I think he's solid. I'm not buying into the hype that everyone gives with this fighter. Jay Herbo is one of his favorite fighters, and I ask you, Jay Herbo, why? Why? How? How is he? Again, is it because of what he does in the cage, or is it because of just who he is outside the cage? 8 KO, TKO, 10 submission. He's never been knocked out. He's never been submitted. He has lost 8 times via decision, guys. 14-7 in the UFC, 1-1-1 in Inca Fighting Champions. You actually fought in Inca, that Peruvian league that we covered last week, which, by the way, first fight on the main card of Inca, one of the best brawls that I've seen in a very long time. Getting lost, it should be unanimous decision to Corey Sandhagen. Before then, beat Dominic Cruz, but he was losing. He was losing the fight until he tagged him there. Beat Rob Font, but Rob Font did take it to him, man. Rob Font did take it to him. That wasn't an easy win by any means. Beat Frankie Edgar, but again, Frankie Edgar arguably up on the scorecards before he landed that front kick. Beat Davey Grant. You kind of have to beat Davey Grant if you want any respect in the UFC. Lost to Jose Aldo. And again, because of that pressure. Now, Font, I don't think pressured him enough. Cruz did a good job of it, though. Beat Sean O'Malley. Kicked him in his leg, which took him down, which again, it's a TKO, it's fair. But if that fight went the distance, 5 rounds or 3 rounds just on the feet, I'm giving it to O'Malley all day, every day. Lost to Song Yadong, and a young Song Yadong. Like, Song Yadong is still young. Song Yadong's what, like 22, 23 or something like that? This is back in 2020. Song Yadong was still really green at that time. Sure, it's going to age out because Song Yadong's awesome, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he is a tremendous, like, sniper type striker. I don't think he's that much of a brawler. Now, he was on the regional scene. He does have good jiu-jitsu. He does have good grappling, but it's kind of like he just waits for that kill shot every time, and you're not going to get it the higher you move in the rankings, especially fighting guys like Pedro Munhoz, who is plus 165 right now. 20 wins, 7 losses. Disqualification or whatever it was. Draw, eye poke, whatever. won his last fight, 2 losses before then. So kind of a weird little record in his last 5 fights. 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 whatever was eye poke loss, no contest, whatever. He's training at Coconut Creek, Florida at ATT as well. Guys, he's 36 years old. I know that he has a lot of miles on him, but he's not the oldest fighter, right? 36, you're like 36 is like right at the end of some of these guys' prime, and I still see a lot of fighters competing, well into their 30s, between 34 and 36 is when you kind of like, okay, you start to have some questions, but Munhoz hasn't really slowed down much anyways. 4 KO TKO, 9 submissions, 7 decisions. I mean, obviously you'd like to see a few more KO TKOs on his career, but he is very well-rounded. 10-7 and 2 no contests in the UFC. 4-0 in RFN. Look at some of these wins. And not only that, just some of the guys he's fought compared to that of a Chito Vera. Chris Gutierrez, solid win. And Chris Gutierrez is a great fighter, guys. Beat him unanimous decision. I think Chris Gutierrez may have won maybe 1 round. Lost to Dominic Cruz. Like, fair enough, man. Dominic Cruz, he was beating Chito. Lost to Aldo. No shame in that. Both of them lost to Aldo. Beat Jimmy Rivera. Solid win. Frankie Edgar, in fairness, in 2020 was still like ranked, and it was a split decision. Lost to Aljamain Sterling. Beat Cody Garbrandt. Back in 2019, Cody Garbrandt still kind of had a chin. Beat Brian Caraway. I think like retired Brian Caraway. Beat a 15-1 Brett Johns. Lost to John Dobson. No shame there. Went the distance with him. Beat Rob Font. Beat Justin Scoggins. Justin Scoggins was 11-2 at that time. Javier Asuncao. When Javier Asuncao was in his absolute prime. This is back in 2014. 10-0. First UFC fight coming off RFA, and he's fighting Asuncao, and he goes the distance with him. I mean, dude, this guy's such a beauty. And he's so overlooked because of that eye poke and just new MMA fans just associating him with that whole O'Malley incident. Fought in the RFA before it merged and became the LFA. And look at that. His last 2 wins in RFA against some solid opponents as well. I'm going Pedro Munhoz on this one, guys. Again, I'm not sold on Chito Vera. Does Chito Vera have the dangerous knockout power? Absolutely. Absolutely. Pedro Munhoz is a better fighter, even at 36 years of age. He is. And you're telling me that he hasn't fought guys like Chito before? Come on, dude. Way more experience. Does not rely on only finishing his opponent, because Chito Vera, man, he goes down in fights and just relies on that finish. You can't play with that. You can't. That's playing with fire every big fight in your career. You can't do that. Pedro Munhoz is not that old. I don't think Vera's going to break Munhoz like he's broken some of his other opponents, with his power. Munhoz has felt that power before. I don't think Vera's going to brawl, and that's okay with Munhoz. Munhoz has some good straight punches down the middle. I think Munhoz beats him on the ground if it goes there as well, and maybe even submits him on the ground. And I think Munhoz is going to fight at a high pace, a pace that Marlon Vera, unless he's setting, doesn't like to fight on, especially on the back foot. So I'm going Pedro Munhoz as the underdog on that one. All right, we got 15 minutes left here, folks. I'll take some of your comments and we'll speed through the rest. I don't have much to say on this one either, so... Pre-leg break, Weidman schools Brad. Oh yeah, dude. Like Weidman, one of the best middleweights in UFC history. Yadong definitely didn't win that fight. I remember it being a robbery. What's up, Activate, Pedro beating Chito Fingers. What's up, West Coast? You going for Chito? Yeah, let me know your predictions as well, guys. Again, I like Chito. I want to see more from him, though. I want to see more from him. I don't like his last few game plans of just like wait for that kill. So now he fought. He did bring a good fight against Font. I will give him that. I will give him that. I'm gonna have to rewatch the Yadong fight. I do know it was close, but still, it's good to see you, Activate. We are gonna be streaming PFL and LFA right after this, guys. Let's get to this next one. Appreciate the interaction as always. You guys are all beauties. Appreciate you all. Hope you're having a great evening. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. Starting it off with a subpar PFL card, but you know, we'll ride through it together, folks. Mario Bautista was supposed to take on Cody Garbrandt. Damon Blackshear, 7 days notice, takes the fight. He's cutting weight again. He made weight. He looked good. He looked strong. He looked like he had high energy. However, I mean, double weight cut, man, that has to drain you, and not just physically, but I mean, just like mentally as well. And when we saw JDM after 2 back-to-back weight cuts, pulling guillotines, not having the fight IQ that we thought he had. Now, again, I'm not comparing the two fighters. They're very different fighters, but I'm comparing the situations. Damon Blackshear coming off a twister victory, 3rd in UFC history behind Bryce Mitchell and the Korean Zombie. Wait, didn't Efrain Escudero also get one? No, he was the one who's Korean Zombie submitted. That's what it was. But anyways, so kind of sucks for Mario Bautista, but Damon Blackshear got a fat check in his last fight. He got the $50K, and they offered him the fight. He's going to take it. Now, him and his camp seem very confident that they can beat Bautista. I think on full camp, he's the favorite and he wins. But again, you can't overlook that. Bautista on a 4-fight win streak right now, 12-2. As a pro, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He trains out of the MMA lab, training partner of O'Malley, that whole crew. 3 KO, TKO. 6 submissions, 3 decisions. So not bad. He's been knocked out once. He got submitted once. Never lost a decision. 6-2 in the UFC, 2-0 in the LFA. Kennedy, that was a good win. You know, Kennedy's not the best fighter, but that was a good win. Lopez was a good win as well. Brian Kelleher, at that point in his career, not the best. Jay Perrin, not too bad either. But he lost to Trevin Jones, man, and you can't lose to Trevin Jones. So a good 4-fight win streak. I would say 2 out of those 4 wins were actually like really, really good wins. Went on 2-fight win streak before losing to Trevin Jones as well. Lost to Corey Sandhagen. That's not a bad loss either. It's just funny, like lose to Corey Sandhagen, not a bad loss. Lose to Trevin Jones, oof. But Mario Bautista, I mean, I don't think he's anything special, but I don't think he's bad by any means. 30 years old. He's not too old. Damon Blackshear, though, man, that last fight that he put on was incredible. Now, very much more of a grappler, and he's a way better grappler than that of Bautista. 14-5-1 as a pro. 2 KO, TKO, 9 submission, 3 decision. 5 of his losses have come via decision. He's never been submitted. He's never been knocked out. 2-1-1 in the UFC, 1-0 in Bellator. And again, that twister, dude. How awesome is that? Now, his opponent wasn't the best opponent, but still. Beat a 12-2 guy, Luan Lacerda, in the second round in his last UFC fight. Lost for Reed Basher. I mean, there's no shame in that either. And he faced some solid opponents in Cage Fury FC. Absolutely love that promotion, as you guys know. I'm giving it to Bautista in this one just because of the double weight cut fighting twice in 2 weeks. And I think it's less physical, probably more mental. I feel like he's going to be more mentally drained at some points. But again, that's just my prediction. That's just kind of like, if I went through that, that's kind of how I would feel. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Damon Blackshear for the win. O'Malley talked over Mario during the question Mario got at the press conference. Yeah, O'Malley seemed a little zonked at that press conference. Not his best performance there. It was a weird press conference. Ian Machado Garry just kind of makes me cringe a little bit. I think he's a talent, though. I think he's a hell of a talent. He's just trying too hard to be McGregor and not himself, I think. But I was so looking forward to him fighting. Oh, geez, why did I just blank on his name? I'm such an idiot. Yeah, Jeff Neal. Jeez, I was like, Georgia? No, Jeff Neal. Jesus Christ, Isha. I need another coffee before we start this big stream here. But yes, I was looking forward to Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal came off a loss against Shavkat Rakhmonov, but what a tremendous performance it was. Jeff Neal's one of those where he's so fun to watch when he's on, and then when he's off, he's like, you know, the likes of Neil Magny beats him. Now, Neil Magny's just not an exciting fighter, but he is a seasoned vet. He is a good fighter. He's, been ranked for over, 10 years now, I think? Or isn't, 8 years now? It's crazy, man. It's crazy how long Neil Magny has been ranked in the division. He is the big underdog. He is saving this fight. He is coming in on short notice. He did beat Jeff Neal, funny enough. But, yeah, I don't think the odds are incredibly disrespectful here, given that Magny took this fight on short notice. Ian Machado Garry just continues to look better and better in all of his fights. 12-0 as a pro. There was one boring one in the UFC. I think his second fight in the UFC, but he came back and answered quite well after that. 7 KO, TKO, 1 submissions, 4 decisions. 5-0 in the UFC, 7-0 in Cage Warriors, where he was the champion. Schooled Daniel Rodrigues, great head kick. I know Kenan Song rocked him at one point in that fight, but he schooled him right after that. Gabe Green, what a great win against him. The Darren Weeks fight, that was kind of a stinker, but he still got the win. Easily dismantled Jordan Williams. I mean, this guy just looks better and better every fight. Training out of Kill Cliff. His striking's getting better. His grappling's getting better. He's tall. He's strong. He was training with Philip Rowe. So he's actually like kind of used to grappling with a tall, lankier guy like Neil Magny. Neil Magny had a really boring win against Philip Rowe in his last fight, but they were basically the same guy, the same game plan, the same style. The Sensation though, the Sensation. Jesus. Haitian Sensation. Jesus. 28 and 10. Didn't someone just copy his name? There's another Haitian fighter just copied his name recently. Anyways. Neil Magny, 28 and 10, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, plus 370 underdog, 36 years of age. What season of The Ultimate Fighter was he on? The Carwin Big Country one, I think. Trains at a Team Elevation, so he's kind of always in shape. He's always training with great partners. 11 KO, TKO, 4 submissions, 17 decisions. 21 and 9 in the UFC. Beat Philip Rowe, split decision. Lost to Gilbert Burns, got dismantled by Gilbert Burns. Beat Daniel Rodrigues. It was a good win there. Got him via the Darce choke. Lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov. Beat Max Griffin. I mean, back and forth, but like, look at some of the wins he has on his resume. Jeff Neal, Robbie Lawler, Li Jing Liang, Carlos Condit, Johnny Hendricks, Hector Lombard, Kelvin Gastelum. Now, I know we're going a little ways back here, and Father Time catches up to everyone, but he's still a challenge. Is he a big threat? Is he a scary fighter? Not necessarily, but he's always going to be a challenge, even coming off short notice. But the older you get, the more time you need to prepare, and I do think Ian Garry gets this one done. I mean, better matchup for Garry. Good grappling, good takedown defense. Magny's a solid veteran and a dog up against the cage, though, so I'm interested to see how Ian Garry looks up against the cage. I guess I'm not interested because it's going to be boring, just like we saw last time, but I am curious to see where he's at in defending that type of game plan. I mean, Magny has amazing wins on his resume. No catch weight, too, here for Neil Magny. But yeah, going with Ian Garry on this one. All right, 2 more fights to run down in 5 minutes. All right, we got to speed through these guys. I like the press conference. It was one of the better ones. It was one of the better ones recently. That is true. Aljo feeds off the booze like Kurt Angle and Colby. I like that about Aljo. I like that about Aljo. Weili Zhang against Amanda Lemos, folks. Weili Zhang 23-3 as a pro. She's a big favorite here, minus 320. 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Such a well-rounded martial artist. She's addressed her grappling so much so that she made Carla Esparza look like she never wrestled a day in her life. 7-2 in the UFC, 12-0 in KLF. Beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Beat Carla Esparza for the belt. Her only 2 losses were to Rose Namajunas. Split decision, which I think Weili Zhang obviously should have won. And then this head kick haunts my dreams. I hate Rose Namajunas. I cannot stand her. A disgrace to MMA, robbing Americans and Canadians of their hard-earned money, spending it on pay-per-view. She beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk, one of the best women's fights of all time. Beat Jessica Andrade. I mean, just look at the name she has on her record here. Zhang Weili, one of the most skilled strikers in the division, one of the strongest women in the division. She's bigger than Lemos. And now she can grapple. Dude, she's going to wipe the floor with her, man. If Andrade out-muscled Lemos, you know, man, and out-pressured her. Because look, Lemos hits hard, Weili Zhang hits harder. And when Lemos gets hit by shots from women that are harder than she's used to, and where she kind of thinks like, oh, damn, like, I hit just as hard or not as hard as this woman, like, she crumbles. We've seen it. She does have a tremendous record, though. 13-2-1. She's 4-1 in her last 5 fights, plus 250 underdog. She's 36 years of age. Maybe the lines could be a little bit closer, but I mean, I just think Weili Zhang is just so much better. She's so much more well-rounded. Amanda Lemos is powerful against weak women. Let's be honest. 8 KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 2 decisions, 7-2 in the UFC. I mean, great run. 3-0-1 in Jungle Fight. Beat Marina Rodrigues, which again, good win. She was 16-1. Beat Michelle Waterson Gomez, legend of the game, but not the best win to have on your resume at this point. Lost to Jessica Andrade, who dummied her. Standing arm triangle choke. Split decision against Angela Hill. I mean, at this point, I honestly think that could have gone to Angela Hill. I know you guys are going to say, Isha, you're biased. You like Angela Hill. Whatever. It still could have gone that way. And again, a great win streak here, but anyway, not the best opponent. 3, up-and-comers, which are good. Leslie Smith, bad loss there. I don't know. I've just never been super impressed with Amanda Lemos like I've been impressed with Weili Zhang. So I'm picking Weili Zhang. I think she's going to school her. That is my pick. Main event of the evening. We literally have 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes left before we have to jump on our PFL stream. I'll quickly fire through these comments, and then that is it. I can't take any more comments on the stream after this. Address them on the other side at on PFL. Starting at 4. Shane, this is not a fight companion, Shane. Thug Rose, Lemos, Brazilian Donnie play no games. Marina's a huge win, and she TKO'd her too. No, I just think she's gotten bad end of a few split decisions, and I just like how she stands in the pocket and brawls. But yeah, look, guys, Weili Zhang is better than Amanda Lemos. Does Amanda Lemos have punching power? Absolutely. But Weili Zhang's better. Simple as that. All right, main event of the evening, folks. Aljamain Sterling against Sugar Sean O'Malley. Aljamain Sterling, 23 wins, 3 losses, guys. Let that sink in as you continue to hate on the Funkmaster. 23 wins, 3 losses. He is the huge favorite, minus 250, as he should be. There's levels to this game, ladies and gentlemen. There's levels to this game. Kind of like with Weidman, I would be thrilled if O'Malley won, but he's not beating Aljamain Sterling, guys. He's not. 34 years old and still in tremendous shape, still as active as he is. That is amazing. Trains out of an awesome gym. 3 KO, TKO, 8 submissions, 11 decisions, 1 disqualification win. Very controversial there. 15-3 in the UFC, 5-0 in Cage Fury FC. Beat Cejudo. Yes, beat a broken TJ Dillashaw, but that's not his fault. Beat Peter Yan fair and square in the second fight, and I do believe he won that split decision. Obviously, Peter Yan schooled him in that one and would have won the fight. Beat Corey Sandhagen. Beat Pedro Munhoz. Beat Jimmy Rivera. Beat Cody Stamen. Beat Brett Johns. I mean, those are all amazing wins on his way up, guys. Brett Johns is 15-0. Lost to Marlon Moraes, got knocked out, but Marlon Moraes was knocking out everyone at that point in his career. And look, some of the fighters that he's fought, on the come up as well. Rafael Sunsao and Brian Caraway. Caraway, not the best, loss, but he was a veteran at that time, and Sunsao was ripping everybody apart at that time between 2014 and 2019. Sugar Sean O'Malley, though a very fun striker, though a fan favorite, we haven't seen his grappling tested yet. Now, in certain cases, he's good at threatening submissions to get out of them and scramble, but for the most part, he's never fought anyone as elite in the grappling as Aljamain Sterling. And that's fact, ladies and gentlemen. He's 16-1, although he'll say he's undefeated. Cheeto did beat him. He's out of the MMA lab, 10 KO, TKOs, 8-1-1 in the UFC, 1-0 in LFA, 1-0 off Contender Series, 2 submissions and 4 decisions in his career. Again, split decision against Petr Yan. Whether you're on Yan's side or O'Malley, it was a tremendous fight, and he showed that he belongs at the top of the division. Paiva is a good fighter as well. That's a good win. That's a good win. Obviously, Montinho, the human punching bag. Almeida, not that great. Eddie Wineland, long of the tooth. He's got skill. Is he going to hang in the top of the division his whole career? I do think so. Is he going to become champion? I don't think so. Again, there's levels to this game. Elite grappling by Sterling. More experience. Better. He's beaten better fighters. And he's honestly not a bad striker. You know, O'Malley's a better striker, but he's not a bad striker. This is such a bad matchup for O'Malley. And even Tim's scared, man. His coach, he's scared. O'Malley does have okay counter grappling. But Jan was able to take down O'Malley with ease. And I know different body types and different styles, the Funk Master and Jan, but still. O'Malley does cheat a lot, though. He does grab the cage a lot, so that is going to probably help if they're clinching up against the cage, especially if Herb Dean is reffing this one. If Herb Dean is sitting there in the back of the cage smoking the herb, just kind of looking out there at the Boston crowd, late to looking at anything, then, you know, maybe O'Malley will keep this on the feet a little bit. Honestly, that's going to happen once or twice if Herb Dean is officiating. Let's be perfectly honest. I hope O'Malley wins, but there's levels to this game. O'Malley's only beaten one top guy, and that was close. I'm giving this to the Funk Master. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, not in the live chat, but on the comments of this video, folks. We're jumping over to PFL. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.